Hello and welcome to my kitchen. This is my most creative space. This is where I hang out, where I make magic happen. And so I want to invite you today to share a recipe, an ancestral recipe. Borscht is a Ukrainian national dish. I wanted to show you how to make this delicious soup made out of beetroot. So this is what you're gonna need. So here's a photo of all the things you'll need. I've also outlined a list on the next slide to show you exactly what the ingredients are. I light my altar for my ancestors. I also go and put my favorite music. In this case, I like to put Ukrainian music in the background. I do have a link to my Spotify playlist in the link below. So I start with a large pot and I add I fill about 3/4 of it with water. I take the potato and the parsnips, I scrub them out. I actually peel the parsnip because it's easier. You'll see in the end. I add salt to the pot and I bring it to boil. Once it boils, I lower the heat to medium. So I cut an onion. I saute it until it's nice and brown and soft. Now, borscht is a really great dish because you don't have to have everything ready to go. You can kind of just take one thing at a time, and you can cut something and then add it to the pot. You could saute something. So it's like kind of just becomes this dance that you can do. Now, while the onions are sauteing in the frying pan, I cut up the mushrooms, I take the stalks out, and I save them for my compost bin or soup, a mushroom soup perhaps, a stock that I want to make later. And I add the mushrooms to the frying pan to saute together. And when those are nicely cooked, I add them to the pot. So the pot is always sort of slowly boiling in the background. I take half the beets and carrots. You can just scrub them and add them to the boiling pot. Also add a bay leaf. Take the other half of beets and carrots and saute them with a small onion. While those are sauteing, I process celery, pepper, garlic, and ginger in a processor, and I add all that to the frying pan. I add tomato sauce, cauliflower. I cut them in smaller bits, kind of like maybe quarter size, a little bigger. And I add that to the frying pan and I mix everything. I allowed all that to cook for about 5-10 minutes on medium heat. So the mixture is well cooked, the flavor is blended. And I move that entire mixture to the pot. And then I open up a can of beans, and then you add that to the mixture to the pot. I wait for maybe like 20 minutes. So the whole pot has been cooking for about 40 minutes, I would say. I check in the potatoes and the carrots. I'm waiting for the vegetables, the whole vegetables, to be soft enough so that I can cut them or mash them. So as soon as the potatoes and the carrots and the parsnips and the beet are ready, they're soft enough, I take them out and I let them cool. Once those vegetables are cool enough to handle, I usually like to grate the beets and the carrots and the parsnips, and I like to mash the potato. And I add all that to the pot of boiling water. So now is the best part. We get to taste it. And really what we're looking for, if you've never had borscht, is you're looking for a mixture of like sweetness, so you'll have to add sugar, salt, garlic, and like that lemony kind of, the sour salt gives it like a little bit of like lemoniness to it. So it's really about experimenting with the flavor that maybe you want to incorporate in your borscht. I added, before finishing, I added more garlic, I added sugar, I added a little bit more sour salt, some pepper, some paprika. So I was kind of like playing around with it. Every cook makes their own borscht, and that's really the beautiful thing about this dish, is that everyone's invited to participate and add their own beauty to it. So I hope you deal with this. I hope you take this on in your own kitchen with your loved ones, friends, or whatever. Make it a fun thing, and then you could all share the bounty. All right, see you next time. Bye. Once the borscht is finished, you can add parsley and take off the heat. The traditional way to eat borscht is with sour cream and dill and a nice chunk of crusty brown bread.